With all the new technology and the abundance of information on the web, you would think that buying or selling or understanding the real estate market would be easier than ever. But ask yourself one question. Now that you've done your homework and you think you know what's going on, what do you do next? Hello, everyone. I don't know if you can hear anything off air while that thing's playing, but if you did, excuse me, excuse the distractions. Hi, my name is Stewart Fournier, and I'm a residential realtor here in Los Angeles, specifically the South Bay. I live in Manhattan Beach. That's primarily where my wife and I, Randy, practice in the South Bay Beach areas, but we do represent all over Los Angeles. And what we do, just like the intro said, is talk about what actually you do next. The amount of information on the web is insurmountable. Many people have said, for example, that realtors are going to go out of business somehow, but that's far from the truth, really, because today's transactions actually demand more of you doing your homework online and then realizing that those that you're competing against have done the same thing. So in this blog that we do every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we try to talk about specifics. We try to talk about how you strategize. Everybody's, has availability to the same information, but what do you do with that information and what are the next steps? So we try to take 5-10 minutes, sometimes 15, to go ahead and talk about exactly what you do next. And obviously, in that shorter period of time, we pick apart different aspects of the process. And the process today, the subject matter I'm going to cover very, very quickly today, is pricing. What people do to put their ducks in a row in terms of what they think that the price of their house should be, and so forth. So before we get started, I wanted to tell you we are on Facebook Live, and this is, as I say, very live. It's very raw. So Randy's next to me in case I flub with some of my wording and make a mistake, and if so, we usually put it down on the bottom in the comments section to clarify anything I might say. This is new for us. This is our fourth blog, but it's really a lot of fun, and we really encourage you, as you know, to participate. If you ask a question right on the screen here, I can see the question. Now, I use a different program, so I really can't see who's there. So if you're there and you feel like you don't want to be seen or something like that, don't worry about it. I can't see you. But if you ask a question, I will be able to see on the screen, and I'm happy to answer any questions today. Now, this is our fourth blog, and as I said, technically there's a lot of stuff that goes on here, and we pretty much do this by ourselves. So I wasn't really pushing for it before with the questions because, quite frankly, with the technology and everything, it gets to be a little much, and of course, just being on air has its own pressure. But we are encouraging you to ask questions, and so today, to sort of prime the pump, if anyone asks me a question, they get a free coffee bean card today. So I don't think I'm going to be overwhelmed with that particular offer there, but we really do want to get the ball started. We want to do an interaction here. So, sorry for going on and on, but today what we're going to talk about is price. How do you price your house, or how does the person that put their house on the market that you want price their house? What goes into play there? And one of the fun things about this blog is that we get to speak in generalities. Obviously, every transaction, every approach is different. But in general, that's what we're going to be talking about today. How do you price a house? Now, the first rule to realize when someone prices their house is you have complete freedom. There are no government regulations. There are no stipulations. For those of you that don't want the government involved in private industry, this is a perfect example of how the government's not involved whatsoever. There are no rules. There's no restrictions. You can price your house any way you want. Now, after you get into contract, there are some legal aspects that you have to be aware of. But from the very beginning, really, what makes real estate so interesting and so fascinating is that the price really is a matter of opinion. It's a matter of opinion based on the person that owns it. It's a matter of opinion based on the listing agent who will suggest what the price is. It's a matter of opinion on behalf of the buyer. And to some degree, believe it or not, it's a matter of opinion with the bank, the person that's actually going to give you money for a loan to go buy it. So that's what makes real estate so fascinating. It really is the wild, wild west when it comes to your concept of, getting a sense of what your house is worth. So what do we do with that? How do we come about to get a sense of what somebody might do in terms of buying your house? So this is no secret. I'm sure you've heard it before. There's basically 4 reasons. There's location, square footage, age of the house, and of course the condition of the house. Those are the 4 main variables wherein you want to take a good look at your house versus the other houses in the neighborhood, in the immediate neighborhood. Now, again, we're talking about opinion. So opinions vary tremendously. But if you want to sell your house, obviously you have to be within reason with those 4 variables. So we're going to break each one down just a little bit. First one, location. Now, location. Now, location can mean a lot of things in different neighborhoods. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, if you live in an area where there's what we call a tract home situation, where most homes all look the same, there's maybe a variation on floor plan or there's a variation on square footage, but for the most part, those tracts have very similar looking homes in terms of their style and such. Now, those houses are pretty easy to price, and the reason is that you have so many houses that look just pretty much the same, and they're designed to look that way. And so there's a variance based upon the other variables, which we'll get into in a minute. But location doesn't really matter that much. Now, in a neighborhood that I live in, for example, we've had 40, 50, 60 years of development and different phases of development. So you see all kinds of houses, shapes, sizes, age, of course, improvements, and everything. So location in those particular areas matters a great deal. As a matter of fact, in my neighborhood, it used to be the city was the location. Then the sections of town were the location. And now, even within the sections of town that we've delineated as realtors to sort of divide up the pie to say, for example, we have houses near the ocean versus houses that are a mile away, we divide those into specific areas. Even within those specific areas, we are seeing a difference in terms and a big swing in price actually from street to street. So you need to have a sense of your neighborhood when it comes to location. What does it really mean? Are you near the ocean? Are you near a park? Are you near a main highway? Are you near a place where everybody, gets a chance to walk to something that's pretty popular, like a downtown area or something like that? And then also, what are the Jones doing? Has the neighborhood been kept up? Do you live on a particular street where most of the neighbors care about what their house looks like and are constantly changing it and making it look better? And as a result, are they getting more value? And that happens all the time. Now, that specifically happens with condominiums and townhouses. With condominiums and townhouses, there's a great deal of value in keeping those condos up. And as you know, associations are tough to get together and move forward, but it's extremely important that you do, because one complex, even if it's an okay location that's not keeping itself fresh and new, will lose value in spite of the market. So that's enough about location. Now, square footage. Square footage I'm going to break down a little bit. I'm going to stick my neck out here a little bit. The variables for square footage are basically from 1 to about 1,500 square feet, from 1,500 square feet to about 2,500 square feet to 3,000, and then 3,000 to about 45,000, and then 45. Excuse me? 4,500. I'm sorry. I should be saying 4,500. See? That's why I need somebody here. 4,500 square feet and up is, it's its own class, really. So what you want to do is take a look at your house and compare your house to others with that similar square footage. You don't necessarily want to compare a house that's 1,500 square feet with a house that's 3,000 square feet. When you look at other houses that are closer to your square footage, you will see the difference, and those are very important points. So square footage is pretty simple. That one you can pretty much figure out on your own. Now, 1,500 square feet as opposed to 1,800 square feet, well, that's the size of one bedroom, pretty close to it. So there could be a difference there of, on average, let's say on a $500,000 house, that would be the difference of maybe $25,000, $30,000 if you have that square footage. So there are different metrics that we use, but you get the general idea. Now, house age. House age has become so important as of late because the fact of the matter is that as of late, styles change a lot sooner than they used to. You know, styles used to change maybe every 15 to 20 years. And what I mean by style changes, I mean radical style change. To give an example, I happen to live in a house that about 10 years ago had a lot of color that was associated with what was new and hip. As a matter of fact, you're looking at it right now. Now, these colors haven't gone out, but and they still look fine. But the new look, for example, today is white. Everything is white. Now, this is 2018, so I can timestamp this video a little bit. And most millennials are new buyers out there, and they seem to prefer the white countertops, Caesar stone, the white backsplashes with maybe a little color, but they seem to really like the white. And so you're seeing that a lot more in housing. The floors themselves are also a lighter color. The wood floors are sort of a sandier color. That seems to be the new trend. Now, will that affect your price? If you have a house like mine, for example, that is in the background, would be considered a little bit dated. But if that's your taste, that's your taste. And so no one's playing it down. But the fact of the matter is that if you're going with the trends of the day, you probably will get a higher price for your house. Now, again, as I said, we see a pretty big paradigm change about every 10 years. And so that's just, the way things are going nowadays. Things are moving faster. The real estate market in terms of styles are moving faster too. And then, of course, the last one, which is the condition of your home. Now, this is the huge one. This is the major variable that will distinguish your house from other houses in the neighborhood, wherein you're going to determine what the price is. Now, condition of the house obviously can mean a lot of things. If your house is up to date, you've done all the things, for example, the modernization I just mentioned a second ago, you probably will get top dollar for the effort that you put in because simply that's what most people like nowadays. That's attractive. If you don't want to do a remodel to that extent, the next best step is, of course, to make sure at least what you have is spruced up, newly painted. There's not a whole lot of money that you need to pour into your home to get it ready for sale. Again, that's another subject. We're not going to get into that. You can find that kind of stuff all over the internet. But it is important. And the swings are anywhere from 10 to 30 to, I would say more like 15 to 30% based on the difference that you put in the house. Okay, so those are just some of the things that go into the pricing of the house. But basically what you're doing is you're comparing your house, cost averaging it to others in the neighborhood. And again, it's all a matter of opinion. It's all a matter of what other opinions are as well. Okay, any questions? No questions? No one wants a free coffee bean card? I'm not going to put that up there again? No? Okay. Again, I can't see you if you're on the broadcast, but I can see your questions, and we encourage you to ask those questions. We're on every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, and if you'd like to have me cover a particular subject, I'm happy to do that as well. And also, if you have any questions, because for the most part, people see this after we do the broadcast, go ahead and make comments in the comments section, and I'll be happy to answer them. Excuse me?
I said after the broadcast, no more coffee bean card.
Okay, yeah. Randy just told me after the broadcast, no more coffee bean card. It has to be live. Thanks for making that point. We're encouraging to ask live, of course, because that's what this is all about. Okay. Okay, one last thing before I sign off today. I've been doing this for about 18 years. Randy and I have both been practicing real estate combined for obviously over 35 years. I will give you one rule that I find very beneficial when it comes to understanding pricing and what you may consider when you're going to offer on a home. And that is what I call my 5% rule. Now, if you've taken all the variables that I've just spoken about and you come up with a price, there's a really good chance, a very good chance, that you have priced your house at what we call fair market value. Now, fair market value is not your specific opinion. Fair market value is really everybody's opinion. And getting fair market value, or understanding what that is really easily done nowadays because you have so many tools on the internet to find that out. Now, I wouldn't trust Zillow completely. I will do another separate Zillow broadcast because I get that question all the time. How reliable are online type estimates? And the fact of the matter is that they are not very reliable at all, and I'll explain why at another time. But you can get a sense or get a start from that and then do some comparison on your own. There's plenty of resources to do that now on the web and get a sense of what fair market value is. Now, if you have priced your house at fair market value, depending on what kind of market you're in, whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, and again, for the sake of the video, I don't want to get into an explanation about everything I talk about because we'd be here for hours, but and I'll talk about it another time. But if you're at fair market value, anything within 5% of that on either side is when people start to take you seriously. If your house, for example, is worth $500,000, and I'll use that just as a medium and as an example, and if you're offering $50,000 or less for that house, and it's not a great market, it's a seller's market, and it's hard for the seller to grasp that. It's not an unreasonable request because it depends how long the housing market and how long that particular owner has had their house on the market and is desperate to move. But when you start offering 10, 20, 30% less, then things get kind of ridiculous. You're not taken seriously. But anything within the 5% range with fair market value is exactly the type of atmosphere that people like to consider offering. Now, in a seller's market, I think I misunderstood. I was talking about a buyer's market. In a seller's market, it's a whole different animal. If you're going to offer 5% less, you're probably not going to get the house, because in the seller's market, things are moving fast. People are making multiple offers. People are essentially even making offers over price, over the listed price. So the 5% rule doesn't apply too much there. So understand your market a little bit. Again, that'll be another presentation. Understand your market a little bit and realize that you probably will be taken seriously if you're within that 5% fair market value. Fair market value is an extremely important concept in real estate because that's the sort of honey that all the bees, will start surrounding. So make sure you have an understanding of what that is. And again, as I said, on this, I went over some of the examples of what exactly that means. Okay, now, there is one last thing that I want to say about pricing before I go off the air. And that is that there actually is a cop in the real estate process. At the beginning of this video, I explained to you it's kind of the wild, wild west, which is true. But the fact of the matter is that every transaction is unique, and at the end of the transaction, that is where everybody's actual opinion comes together, which is a pretty fascinating thing. There is actually sort of a cop that oversees the whole process. And that, of course, is the bank itself that's going to lend money to the person that's going to buy your house. And the person that they rely on to do that is an appraiser. So at the end, and when you're actually in contract, there is sort of an overseer of the whole process that really protects the buyer as well as the seller in terms of being realistic about that particular house, the particular house that you bought. And so it's one of the safest things about real estate is we actually do have someone that comes in and says, I don't really care what the owner's opinion is. I don't really care what the listing agent's opinion is. I don't care what the buyer's opinion is. I don't care what the buyer's opinion is, because the one opinion that matters the most is the person that's going to be forwarding the money for the house, and that is the bank. And the bank cares a great deal and, of course, will not give you the money for a home if they disagree with everybody. Doesn't happen too much. It does happen, and there's adjustments about that. And in a subsequent broadcast, I'll begin to talk about that a little bit as well. But even though from the very beginning it seems like the Wild Wild West, at the end of the transaction, really there is a lot of reason and there is a lot of protection for you when you're moving forward with your purchase. Okay, I'm going to make one last appeal to have anyone ask me a question before I go off the air. Again, we're Facebook Live. This is pretty exciting. We're on every Tuesday at 10 a.m. We are doing that very consistently, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Oh, one other thing before I go off the air also, please, I'm underneath in the comment section as we go off the air, I'm going to give a link for a program called HomeSnap. This HomeSnap program allows you to take a picture of any house in America and get the value of the house right on your screen. It'll also tell you about the schools in the area. It will also tell you about other houses in the area. It gives a lot of public information about any house if you simply take a picture of that particular house. And what's even better about it is you actually have the ability to talk to Randy and I directly if you take the picture and you have some information you want to know about the house and what's going on with it. We don't see you on the app. We only see you if you request it, but it is in real time, so it's pretty exciting. So please take a moment, download that app. It's free. There's no obligation whatsoever. Okay? So anyway, we'll see you next time, everyone, at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. Bye-bye.